Hi, my name is Jacey and welcome to my home. I am an owner and designer of A Beautiful Purpose here in West Branch, and my shop is often a reflection of my home. And you'll notice that we have three rather loving, needy, big dogs that Brooke has had to deal with so far. So if you hear them barking, that's just them talking. They want to be included too. So welcome to my home. You walk into the front room, parlor. This is something that is very important to me because a lot of people struggle with mental illness or just even depression modes. And I want people to understand that no matter how dark it may be in your life, there's always something beautiful to be gained about it. And the darkness isn't always that bad. You always come out the other line and there's this huge, bright, shining light, hence there. So, and I'm not normal. I don't think anybody should ever be normal. So, and you'll find that at my house. I'm quirky, very quirky, like my pheasants. One's Pearl. She's got pearls on her. The religious ties goes back to because my husband and I were both pastors and preachers. Yeah. And honestly, the religious iconography, especially from the early 18 to 1900s, are just gorgeous, especially the Catholic religion. Their art was just above their colors. And so I have a lot of Sacred Marys and Sacred Heart Jesus. I mean, you'll see that in the foyer and in my bedroom. And it's just gorgeous, whether you believe or don't believe. It's still very, very beautiful artwork. I mean, that's an original Jesus of in the temple. I also believe that all religions are valuable. So you'll see the Buddhas, you'll see the Kuan Yins, you'll see the Chinese food dogs and things, because it's just a harmonious unity that creation has given us. And whether you believe in Jesus or whether you believe in Buddha, it's all about enlightenment and reaching that higher goal for yourself. So that's where a lot of this comes from. And it just speaks to me. This is it's from an 1820 church that is no longer in existence. This was the church steeple. And this is wood. And it's pretty much dried out. It's very, very light. But yeah, it looks like it weighs 1,000 pounds, but it doesn't. And friends of mine had it and they were going to toss it. And I said, no, can I have it? Because they really didn't have a place for it. It was in their barn for years. And so I cleaned it up and I brought it in. And of course, I've got the ceilings to do it because I like height when I decorate. When we built and I designed this, I specifically said, I have to have, because this display was in the other house and we had a vaulted ceiling, which I didn't really care for because it didn't really design-wise feel cozy. The coffered feels better. But I said, I have to have this amount of ceiling space for this design. And my builder thought I was nuts, but after it was all said and done and he came through after the final, he's like, yeah, you were right, because he didn't want to do white on white. I'm like, no, we're going to do white on white. I mean, this is my house. I live here. You do not live here. So he was quite impressed. And yeah, I was like, well, that's what you get when you're a designer. So. Well, design, in my opinion, is always changing and evolving per your core self. I always tell people when you walk into a home, it should be a reflection of you, not of anybody else, not of the trends. Always follow your heart. So design is always evolving for me. And I might have a piece for a couple of years and then decide, you know what, I'm not really in love with it, and change it out. Um, it's just about what makes your heart happy. And I do curate it. I wait till that I find that piece. It's not always going to be right there. Sometimes it takes years before I find an art piece that I'm like, oh my gosh, this is what I've been waiting for to put on my wall. And that's why sometimes you'll see bare spots, because I'm just waiting for that right piece to come along. Sometimes I also just change it up. I'm like, I'm not really happy with this right here. And so I'll find a new home for it. Or if I don't, it then goes down to the shop and people can have a piece of me. But most people realize that the shop is actually an extension of me. They kind of interchangeable. If anybody's been in the shop, they can kind of guess what my home looks like. And I've always told them that too. But they also see more of a quirky side when they come to my home. Like the things that I don't normally carry in the shop. Like I love uranium glass, and I'm really heavy into the Asian influence, or, just I'm a little bit more sassier here. Hence, I do make these at the shop too. But if you look at the little vignettes, they always tell a little story. And so you can kind of guess.
I knew I
yeah. No. So this is actually my friend Sharon Richardson. She was my mentor when I first started. She did this. She always stamped. But I've taken her kind of thing, and morphed it into my own, where I actually do the calligraphy on the charcoal or on the pictures. So I always tell people, don't be afraid. If you're following your heart, you're going to be happy with no matter what you're doing in your home. That's the biggest misconception in design, is they think they have to have it perfect. They think they have to have it, oh, well, so-and-so is doing it this way. It's like, no, you just mix it. If it feels right to you in your heart and in your eye, then just do it. I mean, there's no right or wrong way to do design. And that's the most misconception thing that I feel like people have about design. And that's why, I'm in the process of writing a design book, which I forgot to tell you, because I want design to come from the heart. I want people to know that it's not something that's just for those that are really, really super rich. I mean, design happens at home. It's a living, breathing thing. And it's just what makes me happy. And I love curating for other people too. And that's why I love doing the shop as well. I want people to do this, because a lot of people come to the shop and they're like, I don't know how to do this. I'm like, actually, you do. You do. You're afraid to do it because you're stuck in this mode of, well, so-and-so now down the street has this fabulous house. Well, that's her house. You need to do what's right for your house, and don't follow the trends, because they're just wasted. That is not sustainability, in my opinion. This is sustainability. These things have been here for decades. They have history, they have a story to tell, and they want to live it on through your life as well. For my home, I will occasionally go to the auction house if it's something very, very unique. Like we could talk the George Morris estate he was a pharmacist in Illinois. That's where the Madonna came from. And I've been waiting for years. I had something else up there that we just took down and put up, because I've been waiting for a big statement piece since we built this house, and now I have it. Even my husband last night is like, wow, that's amazing. I'm like, I know, isn't it great? I mean, you don't come across museum pieces like that often. So sourcing wise, I have been very blessed and fortunate that I go to thrift stores and things, but it's more for just a kind of hobby thing. I don't really purchase things there for the shop, because I actually go into the people's homes. I go to the barns, I dig through the stuff. I mean, I've been known to just dig through the dirt, because one time I was standing on some L.E. Smith glass, and I'm like, oh my gosh, dig those out. Didn't surprise they weren't broken. But my biggest thing is I love to connect with the families, because that's important. They're things that they've had for decades, that maybe their grandmother had or their grandfather, and there's memories attached to them. And I want that to continue on in other people's lives. And I love that. I love the history behind it. And 95% of what's in the shop, or even in here, I can tell you where it came from, because that's important to me. And so I'm not a thrifter, so to speak. I'm a true gatherer. That's what I like to say. People always throw the term picker, and I hate that term. I'm a gatherer because I'm a gatherer of sentimental things and of just loving the past and the history. The back porch, the screened-in porch during the spring and summer is just my favorite place to be because the bird of paradise is out there. It's just, I love green things. I love plants. I just do. I don't have so much space for them in the house, but yeah. In the winter, they have to come in, and so they kind of absorb the dining area, which is fine. I mean, Ophelia, she's not very happy that she's in here because she's very big. But like I said, I'm hoping that by next summer, she'll bloom. I would say yes, I have a green thumb. I think I was better at it when I was younger because I could have more time to devote to it. When you did the shop, you made a comment that really touched my heart because you're like, even her messes are beautiful. Mm-hmm. And that got me because I'm like, you know what? That's life too, because our messes are still beautiful. We may not think they are, but they really are. So I've kind of taken that and kind of run with it. I'm like, you know what? Yeah, even our messes are beautiful. It doesn't have to be perfect. Life is not perfect. It's far from perfect. And we should never strive to be perfect, Like I said, design is functional. We live in design, There's dust, there's cobwebs, there's, 3 noisy dogs. But this is life. We don't live in it. I don't live in a museum. I don't want to live in a museum, And it's always ever changing in things. And I've come to own that. I've had a lot of people that, like you said, you think it's like, oh, that's great. And I look at it, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's not great. Just to say thank you. I've learned to own who I am as a person and know that, yes, I am gifted. I have amazing design skills. I have a great eye. I know how to do these things, and I want to share that with people. And just know that, yeah, you may not, we all are gifted in different ways, but if I can just jumpstart a little bit in your life, I'm more than happy to do it. That's why one of the signs when you walk in is find your inspiration, because you never know where it's going to come from. Well, the hard thing is when we decided to move from Tipton after all the kids were graduated, and we're like kept looking at houses, and everything had to be redone or more money poured into it. And we're like, why don't we just build? So when we started building, I already had a concept in my head after visiting a friend's house in St. Louis, and they had open shelving, and I'm like, I really love that idea, because it just kind of, I could actually display more and actually use our everyday dishes are functional. It's not cluttered because it's still functional. My builder was kind of like off put a little bit because I designed the layout, and I'm like, I actually changed that wall. That was an open wall. I'm like, I'm not having that. I have to have the high ceilings for my display. I have to have that wall for display. And he's like, you're just talking about design. And, what about functionality? I'm like, it'll all come together. Don't worry. And I said, I want open shelving. He's like, you really want. And I said, yes. And I said, and I want French brick, because I love French culture, always have. When I was 5 years old, my kindergarten teacher asked me what I wanted to do in my life. And I said, I want to go to Paris and I want to be an art teacher. Well, I haven't been to Paris yet, but I still kind of have a heavy French influence. And this is kind of like an art teacher, design is. So while I still love to do the painting and the poetry and that stuff, this is a different variation of it. So it took a long time to find the brick. We had to find a special person to come that could cut it and put it and grout it. My builder actually did the hood and the fireplace. Looking back, I think I would do bigger, but this is the space and it works fine. And I was way before this whole trend of green cabinets when I said I want sage green cabinets, and he's like, what? I'm like, yep, it was a custom color. I had to get it all. And so that's where this color came in, because green is just beautiful. It works with everything. And then we love the natural wood tones. So these are all salvage board. Well, the majority, these were hog panels that we cleaned up. I think I've got, how many? 1, 2, 3, 4. The rest we had to do pine, kind of matching it because the other ones were so deteriorated. And then you'll see a lot of natural wood in my home too. Like this was custom built. This is off the 100-year-old barn that we did with our railings for the stairs. And then the bench in here, that's also a piece of the reclaimed wood that we had from the barn that put in, because it's texture, it's color, it layers things. It just gives this enriching tone to things. And then of course we had to do the white pine, which my husband's always telling me that I have very expensive taste on a champagne budget. So yeah. And these were a major score when we were at auction one time, and I got them for $1, and they are $700 lights or more a piece. And I sprayed them black myself to cut costs. We did a lot of the work ourselves here too, just to cut costs, so we could get a very low dollar per square foot for the build. But design is functional. Yeah. I mean, yeah. And then we have right here, like their blankets. And then here is where, sorry, the dog food. so that they don't get into it. And then you cover it with a cheese lid. It's a cheese lid. And you put it on a scale. I mean, you just, everyday objects that you have around just become, pretties. It is. It's French. I bought it at Sharpless Auction. Paid $100 for it. I went to Des Moines, and there's actually 2 in the house. There's another one in my office. That one I got from the auction. We had it rewired in Des Moines, and it is my favorite thing. If we ever move, that's coming with me. It's not staying. But it's just the grandeur of it all. And the fun story is this big door was actually from West Branch. I bought it off of Barb Connors because I wanted some height. And we actually think it's the original screen door off of my shop business. So when I first started, I collected the French cage. Now I'm really more into the woofs. And I don't know why. The one in the living room was my first woof. And I got that at auction. And I paid $10 for, which I was so ecstatic for. I was like, but then I realized how expensive they are. That was just an anomaly. But I've kind of gathered them over the years, and some aren't woofs, but I just love, and the reason I do is because there's one in my bedroom. Her name is Mary. She was my Aunt Deborah's, who's still living. She made my wedding dress on Mary. So that was my very first mannequin that I got, dress form. And so it just kind of grew from there. And so, yeah, these are, of course, like I said, the Sacred Heart Mary and Jesus. And then I'm really into the Russian Orthodox right now. And this was a gift from my friend Colleen from Twisted Sisters. And then I used to do still life in high school. So these just speak to me. To be honest, like I told you, a week ago, you wouldn't able to even walk in here. There was just piles. But I've been working really hard to get this going so I can actually sit in here and work and do my, like, the calligraphy on the art, on the pictures and whatnot. And yes, I'll be able to get to that point where I can actually work and do in here. But it's mostly for me just to regroup. And this is the heart of me, this room, because this is my memory cubby. And there's things that just mean a lot to me. Like there's my dad, my grandmother, Mary Poppins, that's one of my favorite Disney movies. It's very magical. Just things that tie back to like tobacco to my grandfather. Of course, you've got Mary, and you've got the whole Ironstone thing, and then you've got the Crescent, which is the Schmidt family. Things that I've come across, and the dolls, and just the dolls are a big thing for me because a lot of them are just lost, and they were once loved and played with. And so that's kind of where I feel like in life, like I was just rejected a little bit. And I just love bringing dolls home because then they get another chance to be loved. Not all of them stay with me. Some of them go away, but yeah, this is where I come, and just, it makes me happy to be in here. It really does. Even though my husband gets a little weird, like he doesn't like some of the stuff that I have in here, like my monkey puppet or my French dolls that don't have the heads. He thinks they're creepy. I'm like, that's fine. You don't have to like it. It's not a reflection of you. It's a reflection of me. So, but yeah, this is a heavily layered room, and it's still not done. Like, it's not done. But yeah. And I'll probably actually, I very rarely watch TV because I'm usually thumbing through books. Like, I've been on this kick where I've been finding these really old bird books. And so I actually read the books that I bring home. Call me weird. Not really. Because they're fascinating. I don't know how many people, like you collect old Bibles too, and I have a ton. I like to stack them. But even the German ones, their writing is just so gorgeous inside. Well, and it's a lot. I mean, even in the shop, I have layers. So people will walk around 3 or 4 times like, I didn't see that. It's like, yeah, it's just like you have to. So that pillow I got from Erin. Yeah, that's from France. And she had it. And I was like, I love it. I have to have it because the peacock is a symbol of rebirth. Marvel, stay down. So I loved it. Yeah, we joke because I always say there's a stud that always looks at me when I come out from getting ready the shower in the morning. Little creepy stud. Get down, Marvel. Needy dogs. Get. So yeah, they love you. So again, here is where I say it's not done. I'm still curating the things. Like I have an old watercolor that I'm going to put up here. Maybe it depends on if it fits right. And a lot of the hat molds I'll probably change out if I find the right piece to go in. But they tell a story, and I have to wait for the right. Like that piece right there that I got from Barb, it's gonna go here because it's got these are hand painted. That one's on canvas, but this one's actually on metal, and that art is long gone. But, you know, it's a matter of just finding the pieces that work together that you love. And you know this, you do it in your own home.
So
and
we didn't talk about your love affair with Ironstone yet.
Oh gosh,
we almost skipped over that. So talk to us a little bit.
That is more than a love affair.
What would you call it?
Well, I call it an obsession. A lot of people call me the Ironstone hoarder, which I don't deny because I do gravitate towards it. And this is something that started years ago from my friend Steph Main, who is the Farmhouse Market, I believe is the name of her business. She doesn't do it too much anymore. But she, in her home, she had just the simple, like inexpensive restaurant wear stuff. And that just snowballed into this massive collection that I have today, where I use a lot of it. Like even in my bathroom, I have a toothbrush holder. I use the cups for my jewelry and whatnot. But there's just something about Ironstone. It has withstood the test of time. It is a classic design element. It is beautiful. I have grown to embrace transfer wear, but I'm more of a purist when it comes to the Ironstone. I love just the white. I love flow blue. I'm sure you'll see in the videos, the pictures, this simple, I'm not so much on a lot of embellishments when it comes to them, but then again, I have some that are really, really pretty, like the sugar pot where it has the motif on it, but the most of it is just plain. And I love it that it's plain. I do have a massive tea leaf collection. I've taken a lot down to the shop. You didn't open this to see, which is a lot, but Ironstone is very hard to display because you just have so much of it. One of my favorite pieces of Ironstone actually is the mulberry. Very expensive. So mulberry is this. It is called black. It is a black, but they call it mulberry. Very, very old, very hard to find, very expensive. So I don't have a lot of pieces, but what I do, I treasure. And one day I'll have a cabinet where I can put it out. But I mean, it's just stunning. I mean, the scenes on here, this is more than a transferware because I'll show you the difference. And I know this is a simple transferware. Okay. Very simple. And then you can see the detail when it comes to mulberry. Just how it's an entire scene. I mean, and look at that mark. I mean, that's gorgeous in and of itself. I'm a very giddy person when I am out digging or hunting. Like this is a boot. That's a very early piece too. If I turn it over and I'm like, oh, try to contain my excitement because I know my marks. I mean, I know my Ironstone. And that's why I pared down a lot of my collection. Like if I find something and I'll be like, oh, most people gravitate towards Meakin. Meakin's common. When you really find the old pieces, I mean, just if you look at this is a Turner and Thompson. When do you see that? Not very often. And I have books and I've studied them to go over and find, the rare. And this is the newest thing that I've been trying to collect, but they're very pricey. And you know this, the marmalade jars, the toothpaste powder jars, and there are several dealers that import from Europe and sell them, but I like finding them in the wild because I think that makes it a little bit more fun and challenging, and then it's a little bit more rewarding about it. Oh, and the other obsession I have lately, but yes, the Ironstone plateau mirrors. I don't know why, but I have tons of them and I love them, and I think you highlighted them one time in the shop too, but they're just gorgeous. Something about it, just love it. But yeah, the Ironstone is a big thing, and I have it everywhere. As you can see, I have stacks just not even put out. I have boxes that are not even put out, and I don't know if you saw in my office too where I didn't have a place, so I just started shoving them in a basket, and that's overflowing. I mean, I can't even tell you how many pieces I have. So that is my grandfather's side of the family, my maternal grandfather. Am I saying that right? So my mom's dad's side. Yeah. Which is important to me. My aunt had these and she was like, do you want these? Because she's getting older. And I said, yes. Down here is a different story. It's a different color palette. A little bit more colorful. It's when I like, we like the blues. And I don't know why I like the blue. I think it's just a very subtle color that the reds can pop up. So that's the family area where my daughter usually and my husband plays their video games and stuff, because I'm more of a upstairs reading a book, TV kind of person. They're down here playing video games, of course, which is fine. That's why I guess more down here you can call it more of an industrial look, because I found the Lions workbench off a marketplace and went and got that. I snagged that up quick because I'm like, that is fabulous. That'll work just perfect for down here for what I'm going for. Because this was from our old house. And I'm like, yeah, because I wanted to divide the space and create different zones when it comes to it, So then when you come over here, this is more just the casual, you're going to sit here and you're going to have a conversation. That's my puzzle table. We usually have a puzzle that we do. This is more of, you want to sit, you want to have a drink, you just kind of converse or just chill. Also, I love my magazines. I come down here and I try to read. Not always happen because I'm usually busy. But yeah.
I never saw that said circumcision.
You just found yeah.
I just noticed.
Yeah. I am quirky and I like to have fun. Like I said, if you really dive deep and look at the vignettes, you're going to find a story. And so I could not resist. I've always wanted to hymn the Lord. Finally found one. I have lots and lots of the cards, and I was like, why not? Why not put that? That's just fun, right? It's hilarious. So. Oh, and the cotton candy. I don't know if anybody wants to know about that story. The cotton candy is important because that's basically how my husband wooed me. His family is the Drollinger family from Iowa City that own the city park rides. And when we met, he took me to ride on the Ferris wheel and he got me cotton candy. And so that's an actual concession carnival cotton candy sign. So when I found it, I'm like, yeah, that has to go up. So most of the things in my home are a nod to something or a memory. And that's what's important. It's just design can be that way. It doesn't have to be impersonal. And that's why I love gathering from other things or from my past. So you'll see a lot of that. And that's my husband's gaming area. Of course, the industrial, he works in industrial sales, and that's a nod to him. The Hy-Vee sign, of course, that's a nod to my dad because that's where he first started as an apprenticeship baker for Hy-Vee when he was like 20. That led him then to have his own bakery when I was growing up in Wilton, Ron's Pastry Shop. My dad's been gone now close to 8 years, and so it's special to have his things that tie him. So another emotional moment. Yeah. Emotions are good. They're just feelings that just have to come out. So yeah. And let's see, we've got another nod growing up in Marshalltown. This was a factory that was there. I have quite a few of them. I tend to, so that's the problem with me. I don't have an issue. Once I gravitate towards something, all of a sudden I find like 20 of them. And I feel like, oh my gosh, I have to, get them. Like I'm sure you've seen in the black globes, which are hard to find, but I have no problem finding them. And my daughter loves them, but she's like told me, Mom, enough is enough. We have enough. I mean, there's 2, 3 upstairs. I've got 3, 4. I think we got 10 total. It's just like, no. And I don't know why I like globes. I think it's just because I want to travel, maybe. There's always something subliminal in my head that I want to do, but I don't know. Oh, and that arch, that's from a Civil War church down by Hedrick, Iowa. I kept one for myself. I sold the other 3. But I kept the chunkier one. The other ones were really, really tall, but they had stained glass in them, of course. But, again, religious influence, just a nod to the church in a way. Design always tells a story, and it has to be your story, And like I said, sometimes curating too, because I just realized that we're waiting to find the right lamp for this. But that's curating. You're like, I love this. You don't find them intact. And so now we're just waiting to find the right lamp for it. So it'll just sit there. The mess is beautiful. These are industrial hooks. I think they're farm. My friend Sandy told me once, but they're just different, right? Just kind of fun.
A huge thank you to Jacey and her family for giving us this wonderful tour of her home. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to check out this playlist with other guest home tours. Thanks for watching.
But I want my butt scratched too.